G'day, I'm Troy, and this is the Comic Book Movie Collector's Guide, the show about collecting all things superhero cinema. And today, we're going to take a gander at Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D, the TV movie on DVD. And we're going to try and answer the question, is this Nick Fury or Nick Fail? Let's get into it. Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a live-action superhero made-for-TV movie with a runtime of 90 minutes. The TV movie was first broadcast on the 26th of May 1998 on the Fox network and later released on DVD on the 30th of September 2008 with no Blu-ray or 4K HD release as of this video. It was written by David Goyer with it being directed by Rod Hardy. The film was produced by Marvel Entertainment Group and 20th Century Fox Television and distributed by 20th Television. This made-for-TV movie was intended to be a backdoor pilot for a possible new TV series on the Fox network, but due to the largely negative reception, it was not picked up. Okay, let's have a look at the case now. I don't mind this one. This looks pretty good. This is the UK version. I'll also have the US version, which is a little harder to get a hold of, but the UK version, relatively easy to find out there. And I don't mind the look of this one too, actually. It's not bad at all. The spine is good. It sticks out nice on your shelf. And the back, not a real lot going on, but it still looks good with the grip sort of walking across there. I like that too. Now, if we look at the disc, it's just a shot of the front cover. Nothing special there. So overall, I don't mind this one at all. It looks good on the shelf, and I have to admit, I'd really like that cover. That cover's good. So overall, look, I'm going to give this 7 out of 10. So the story has retired super spy Nick Fury enlisted to return to duty after the children of the former Hydra head Baron von Strucker have taken charge of the terrorist organization and who threatened to attack Manhattan with a pathogen known as the Death's Head virus. And it's up to Nick Fury and his agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to take down Hydra and stop their evil plans of world domination. And I will rule the world! This couldn't be any more of a Cold War spy thriller cliche if you tried, but that's not a bad thing, as this is what Nick Fury was all about. He was the comic book version of James Bond on steroids. So you wouldn't expect, anything less of the story, shall we say.
World domination, same old dream.
Now, from what I've read, the script was written back in the late 80s and sat in production limbo until it was made in 98. So it kind of reeks of some of those 80s cliches, over the top tones, dialogue, story, all that type of stuff. And even though the script was old, it felt like it fit right in there with a lot of those 90s action TV shows like Hercules, Xena, La Femme Nikita, Highlander. God damn, that TV show's a lame! Look, now for me, the story was fine. It was more the script that wasn't, say, polished, as it probably could have had maybe a few more passes. That probably wouldn't have hurt. Anyway, it's more of the, what you'd say, lower end of those 90s TV action shows. So for that, look, I'm going to give this a 13 out of 30. Now, they used a lot of the characters from the comics and reference heaps of comic book lore, but the execution of it was not so good, shall we say. It's like everything is just there in name alone and no real effort was made to make anyone, say, comic book accurate. So no one really kind of looks like their characters, and as far as their costumes, it was all that black leather suit get up that they had, the studio seemed to love to put into movies in the late 90s, early 2000s.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
But in saying that, David Hasselhoff does kind of have that Nick Fury look from his early days, as you can see here. It's unfortunate that his look was the only thing that was close, because as his rendition of Nick Fury was, oh mate, it was poor at best. And instead of coming off as, say, this experienced, grizzled old veteran, he kind of comes across as this like real angry, arrogant kind of wannabe, which I think lets the show down and really makes him hard to like.
A very handsome, horrible personality.
As far as everyone in the cast goes, They weren't too bad actually. I'll have the list up here, but there was one person that stood out for me, and they stood out for all the wrong reasons, and that is Sandra Hess, who played Adriana von Strucker, aka Viper.
She is a criminal.
Wow, her performance was so over the top, it's almost funny to watch. She just chews up the scenery in every scene she is in. It's kind of like she's trying to be a campy Batman 66 villain, but she turned that bad boy up to 11. And instead of coming off compelling or interesting, it kind of comes off as comical.
Yikes, it's a little over the top.
I feel like this could have been a good 90s action show. It did have so much potential, but in the end, I think the casting and the acting is what ultimately let it down. So, look, I'm only going to give this a 6 out of 20. So, as you can see, there's no special features on this, which is kind of no surprise, as this was just a backdoor pilot that never got picked up. So, you know, putting on it a DVD like they did was kind of just their way to cash in on the Marvel movies that were really just starting to take up at the time. So I kind of highly doubt there was anything out there to put on this anyway. So anyway, with that being the case, all I can give it is the usual 0 out of 10. Now the critic score came in at 0% and the audience score was 16%. Ouch, that's bad. So there was only a couple of critics reviews, so not enough for Rotten Tomatoes to give it a score yet, but still nothing flattering out there, and the audience review was pretty much, you know, a same across the board. So I don't know if 16% is totally deserved, but it is what it is. Anyway, look, if we round it up, we're only going to get a massive score of 2 out of 10. Look, I was raised on 80s action TV shows, and so as a result I was a big fan of a lot of these 90s action shows like your Xena, Hercules, etc, etc. So I think if this actually went to series, I probably would have been a fan of this show too. Look, let's face it, no pilot for any show has ever been the best, but if you let the show have time to grow and breathe and evolve,
This show needs time to grow.
it could have been one of the good ones. But alas, I think in the end, the casting of David Hasselhoff as the titular character was its downfall, as the reason he was cast was for his recognisable star power at the time to bring an audience in, which would have been a bonus, but it was his portrayal of the character that really would have turned viewers off.
No, sir, I don't like it.
And one thing I found a bit off-putting was the romantic relationship between Nick and Valentina, which there is a substantial age difference there, which just kind of felt a bit creepy and a bit weird for me. And the fact that Hasselhoff and Renner, they had no chemistry up on screen, which didn't help the matters much.
There was absolutely no chemistry.
If you take those couple of things out, it wasn't that bad a show to watch. I didn't find it a slog to watch it, and it moved along okay, which it was very much, say, a popcorn movie that you would probably forget about, like I did, almost straight away after watching it. So for me, this had so much potential, but it was just poorly executed. So with that, I'm only going to give this a 9 out of 20. So first up is collectability, and if we look at the collector's scale, I would say this would be for your completist collector. As let's face it, it's not a great movie, and it's really only one for those hardcore collectors out there that would probably want a copy for their collection. Now, as far as availability goes, this one I would probably put on the average side, as there's no shortage of copies out there on eBay or Amazon, so it won't be too hard to find the copy you are looking for your collection. As far as your average price goes, you're looking at somewhere between $18, which was about the cheapest I could find, through to the high end at $100 for DVD. With the UK release is at the lower end, and for the rarer US version, that's where you're going to pay your $100 mark. And of course, there is nothing for Blu-ray or 4K HD as of this video. Now, for the final score, we get a grand total of 37 out of 100. Well, I have to say that that's not far off what I thought we would get for a score for this one. So look, we asked the question, was this show Nick Fury or Nick Fail? This was a Nick fail. I think this shows how crucial the casting of your leading man can turn a show from a TV ratings fury to a sad TV ratings fail.
It could have been handled better.
Hey, so if you like this video and you want to see some more reviews, I got some right there. Or maybe you want to see some of my collection updates. Hey, I've got you covered too. Why don't you try that one there? And of course, don't forget to do the most important thing. Throw me a bat like, and don't forget to hit that subscription button too on the way out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.